Yeah. Great. What's the past taking notes?
Hello.
Experiment.
Gentlemen,
Yep. Put your hands, come in.
Sure. Yeah, you guys want your pictures now? Yeah.
This is fair. Oh, you're
Full
doing it
feet.
individually?
Yes.
Or you want us back here? Yeah, I mean, bring this back up. Okay. Okay.
John, you got 10 more, so okay, yours, and so make sure you get in.
Also, why? Nice.
Yeah.
She was actually very good.
I've heard about them. Yeah, it was, no, they both.
Yeah.
Oh, they. They both.
Hey, we do it for it. This. We do it.
Make it up. Make it
Yeah.
nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, guys, just go.
yeah. And you know, you're like. Like, we're actually, I felt like. That's what it's been, that's right, our first year, and that started.
Everyone's ready. Call the meeting to order. This is the Monday, November 7th, for the Mill School Board meeting. And our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand, say Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America. To the republic for one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty. Rusty, would you please read our mission statement?
And. Require that I have it in front of me.
Right.
Thank you. Our mission to graduate all students with high levels of academic, personal achievement, ready for post-secondary excellence, prepared for productive, compassionate citizenship through research-based instruction and a collaborative system of support.
Thank you, Rusty. Next item, 2.0, changes or deletions to the agenda.
Yes, you can remove 4.2, there was scheduling conflict with the students from the high school that were coming over. They've had a scholarship meeting tonight. We'll have them on the way. We'll look at pushing into our next meeting.
Introductions and attendance at the previous meeting. You have the previous meeting.
There were 6 online, or 6 on site and 4 online.
Okay, thank you. Those of you who are joining us tonight, would you please introduce yourselves?
Yes, sir. I'm Jessica Wolfe. I teach reading at the elementary. I'm Kaylin Thomas. I also do reading intervention for K2. I have kids here and it's a soccer coach tonight as well for 3rd grade. So, right.
I'm Roy Lundy, I'm a parent. I'm Christina Callister, I work for Sky, I'm a parent. I'm Chelsea McAllister, and I'm a senior for high school.
A couple more there.
This is Ava. She's a 6th grader and she's great. And this is Augustin. That would be kindergarten.
Thank you for being here tonight. 4.0 presentation, students of the month.
Chelsea, come on there. This is Chelsea McAllister. She's our student of the month. When I asked her teachers if she had something to tell me about her, they had plenty to say. Jody wanted you to know that Chelsea is a leader. She has stepped up to be involved in student government, has done a fantastic job leading the last few assemblies. Mr. Neal has been really impressed with her work this year in AP government. She is thoughtful and hardworking. She has great questions and is involved in class discussions. She's pushing herself to take the AP class and has put in extra time and effort to be successful. Jay Gray wanted to share that Chelsea exemplifies hard work and integrity. Mr. Gray has had the great fortune to have Chelsea in class for 3 years now. And she always impresses him with her ability to work steadfast through even the most difficult math concepts, while also helping those around her succeed. She has a persistent positive attitude combined with an incredible work ethic that leads to success in everything she puts her mind to. Angela White shared that Chelsea is always up there on the go helping others. She has shown her dedication to team building on and off the field. Her leadership as ASB president, sports manager, and amazing classroom mentor makes her respected and admired by her peers. I think one of the best qualities I have observed in her is her amazing attitude. I feel that Chelsea has a great drive to do her best and help others along the way. She's fortunate to have the opportunity to work with you in advising and to teach you this year. Larissa Anderson said that Chelsea is a dedicated student, athlete, and leader amongst her peers. She has given her time as a peer tutor and demonstrated thoughtfulness and consideration by inspiring and implementing the care closet at high school as well. She is self-motivated, looking to the future, exploring career options and internship opportunities in areas of construction and resource management and engineering. These are just a few examples of how Chelsea demonstrates the principles of the Billy Way. Congratulations. And I just want to say, sorry, I didn't mean to squelch your class. Just really stepping up and making our student body get excited again, get re-engaged in the homecoming and some of the activities that we have on our road. So.
School board, thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Jeff Newer is our most improved student of the month. He was unable to come out tonight, but I did want to share some teacher comments about him as well. Joe Neal shared the term is always respectful and hardworking. His work this year has been really consistent and he is productive every day. He's quiet and on task and it's a pleasure to have him in class. Angela White shared that she's taught Trevin for several years and he has always been a respectful and courteous student. He has been working extra hard to complete work by deadlines and also makes attendance a priority. Good job, and your hard work has not gone unnoticed.
Congratulations to Trenton as well. We have a certificate for him that we'll get to you to pass along.
Perfect.
5.0 public forum. Individuals who are on site during this portion of the board meeting, members of the public are specifically invited to present items of commendation and or concerns. At the discretion of the board chair, further public participation may be allowed at the time specific agenda items are under consideration by the board. Individuals who are viewing online, PHSD posts the upcoming agenda on our website Friday before regularly scheduled Monday school board meetings. This will allow for public comment prior to the board meeting. Please click on the tab provided to share your comment or the school board to consider at the upcoming meeting. Personnel matters may not be discussed in public at school board meetings. Members of the public who have personnel concerns or commendations should share them directly with the district superintendent. So, public forum, do we have anything? Please.
So I have a little speech just so that way I don't miss anything. But I am here to speak about traffic. Well, both the elementary school and Enterprise turning onto or off of 58. My name is Laura Monteith and sixth grader, and she's been here since kindergarten, and then they'll be going to kindergarten this next year. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been here during school hours, especially within the last couple of years, either getting in and out of the elementary school or from Enterprise to 58. It is horrendous. So I did speak with Dorothy Upton, who works at ODOT, and she pretty much told me, well, I'll backtrack. I called and said that I wanted something done within the school zone because to me, it sounded good. I was told that the middle school and high school would be a lot easier to get in and out of, which is true, getting on to Enterprise, but getting on to 58, it is a lot more difficult. And in my opinion, it's a lot more dangerous because the 20-mile-an-hour zone starts after Enterprise Road. So people who are choosing to slow down when they go through the school zone are waiting until they get past Enterprise and slam on their brakes when they see the 20 or when they decide to slow down. And then there's that turn lane from 58 turning on Enterprise. So if you are turning west on 58, you have not only east traffic coming, but you have a turn lane that you're having to wait for. And then you have the westbound traffic that are going from 20 to 45, because again, the school zone ends right before Enterprise. It is extremely difficult to get out of there. You sometimes have to pull out in front of people. I know people will turn from Enterprise, will turn east on 58 and then go to either Weatherbury and then flip around and merge back out into traffic, which then again stops elementary school traffic from coming back out onto 58. Or they go down to Parkway and then they'll turn down Parkway and then automatically turn into where that little empty gravel area is. And then flip around, get line of traffic, and then come back out to 58. So I called ODOT and I spoke with her, and she said that there's this publication that's called A Guide to School Area Safety. I read this before I called her, and when I spoke with her, she said this is for pedestrian and bicycle traffic. The gist of it is that they don't really want to do anything if kids are in vehicles. I suggested that they just move the 20-mile-an-hour zone to include Enterprise Road, so that we at least have to start slowing traffic down. Because the people turning from 58 onto Enterprise, a lot more time to do that, and vice versa, people going on to Enterprise on 58, more time to either kind of dip in with slower traffic or to turn and go west. I spoke with her a month ago, and then I called her again today because I haven't had a response, and she told me no, that they are not going to do that. So I was hoping that the school board would get behind trying to at least get the speed limit changed or the school zone to start prior to Enterprise Road to include that, so that way traffic at least has to start slowing down prior. I don't know why that wasn't included when the school zone was put in place, because it really is a school road. I mean, that's the main road to get in and out of the middle school and high school. Not only is the population increasing out in the Pleasant Hill, Dexter, beyond area, but the population within the school district is also increasing. So we have an increased population of parents, of students trying to get on. We have students that are 16 driving, trying to negotiate traffic. And I am honestly surprised that there are not any more wrecks on either getting out of the elementary school or really even getting out of high school, especially with the high school students driving. I would just ask that if you don't really see an issue with it, that you take 2 or 3 days out of the week, sit at the elementary school, come in at 7:30, 7:45, because kids can't be dropped off until 7:45 at the, it's 7:50, I guess, really, it is 7:45, okay. And I was told that the middle school, really 7:45 is a good time frame to drop off the middle school students, because that's, teachers are kind of milling the halls, and so there's a little bit more supervision for the kids. And just trying to get out of the elementary school parking lot, watch how many people do not abide by that 20-mile speed limit. And trying to get out on the Enterprise or on the 58 from Enterprise Road and realizing really how dangerous a problem it is. And that it really does need to be addressed. I think long-term effects need to be put in place. But I think trying to figure out those long-term effects, that we at least need to do something at least quickly to try to get that school zone to drop down to 20 miles an hour to include Enterprise until something more permanent can be put in place.
All right, well, thank you for your input. I know there's some history between the school district and ODOT. And I don't know, institutional memory probably takes over as to where we left off with ODOT. But that they've been less than cooperative.
Yes. I will say, I live on Highway 58. And I've also tried to get them to reduce the speed limit where we live or turn it into a no passing zone. And they were less than receptive. They do not get back to you, and you have to pursue and push them. And I have been told that with them, the school will get cheese or whatever the terminology is, that you have to be persistent. And I think as parents, we can only go so far. I believe having the backing of the school district to try to push forward and say that something has to be done. ODOT and the school board really should be looking at children's safety and trying to figure out a resolution to make it as safe as possible for the kids that are out there. It was really for the parents also. I think that it needs to be something that the school board does address with ODOT and stay on top of it, because it is something that can be a catastrophe out there. And before that happens, it would be nice to see something change.
You have any other comments tonight? Right. We usually don't respond typically to comments in the meeting. We take the information under advisement and then may discuss it at a further time.
Okay.
So
So can I come back in the December meeting and see if that has been discussed?
you might check in with Jim.
We spoke on the phone. I was gonna try to come in October, but I had a sick kid at home, so I wasn't able to attend. But we did speak on the phone and back then about my issues.
Might have been Malcolm.
Oh, okay,
Enter the name, yes.
okay, sorry. I know I did speak.
Go ahead, Lola.
Speaking of institutional memory, we finally got the flashing light out there, up and down 58. It was a long time to get that.
Yeah,
Not that we shouldn't pursue it,
I mean, I'm just not really sure what the pushback from ODOT is, just to extend it another 200 feet to include it, at least to do that. I mean, I get that the long term, as far as trying to, increase the population might take a little bit longer, but I'm not really sure why there's such a pushback on trying to make it safer for vehicle traffic. And there are, I mean, granted, not a lot of students, but there are some students who walk and bike to school. And they have to cross 58 in order to get to school. I mean, there's not a lot of them out there, but I have seen kids coming to school that way.
All right, well, again, thank you for your concern.
Thank you for allowing me to do everything.
Sure, certainly. 6.0 board action item. 6.1, approving the consent agenda, on which we have the October 17th board meeting minutes and the enrollment reports. Are there any issues with those?
I drew the minutes, very minor. 9.0 said that I shared, the staff meeting. And then the last sentence was, Ms. Decker believes it's important for board members to be on committees. Well, I do, but the point I was trying to make is, I think it's important for a board member to be on social activity. With that specific committee on. Hoping that my fellow board members would take that into considerations.
So with that modification, we'd be happy to approve the board meeting. So we would need a motion to approve the consent agenda. We moved in second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so the consent agenda has been approved unanimously. 6.2, accept board policy JHCD. And it says first read.
Yes, so we'll have first read of the policy JHCD medications we talked previously about, the being able to have Narcan within the health rooms for opioid overdoses. And what you've got here is a copy of that. And if you look on page 2-3, there's a highlighted portion that reads naloxone or any similar medication that is in any form available for safe administration and that is designed to rapidly reverse an overdose of an opioid drug may be administered by trained designated personnel to any student or other individual on school premises who the person believes in good faith is experiencing an overdose of an opioid drug. And that would be the only addition to the policy.
Otherwise, it's the same as it has been.
Correct, and same with the administrative rule as well. Procedure. So I would recommend that you review that and as a first reading and review reflect updated. This year.
What we have typically done in the past is had a first reading. And then brought the policy back at the next meeting for approval. But yet this is under action items as opposed to a discussion item, so
Correct. So
Were you-
opportunity,
were you looking for us to take action on it tonight?
so opportunity to discuss and then just through a roll call vote as far as the, I guess not approving it for updating as far as the policy yet, but approving it to build move on to the second reading.
Okay.
If there's questions still, or if there's not a majority that wants to, then discuss what those issues are, we can take it back. I can work with John as far as what edits or other pieces need to be included and bring back another version for another first reading.
I looked at the process, it was something that's a little different than what I'm used to, so. That's why I'm asking for a little help with that direction.
Yeah, so this would just be time to build out a discussion if there was one, if there's not, and just do a level, I'll see what people are at with it.
Okay, do we have any issues for discussion?
I have no issues, but I was finding out who it is. We have some with administrators.
So once we are finished with approving it, then I'll work with our Katie as far as getting the marketing from Lynn County Health. And what the what it looks like as far as storage and then the training that needs to happen for people as far as administration.
The injection.
I believe it is, I think.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Anything else? Right then, I guess we're ready to do that, we're gonna do a roll call vote, so. Golden,
Yes.
Steven,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So we'll move that forward to a second reading. Unanimous roll call vote. 6.3, accept OSBA legislative priorities and principles as recommended by the Legislative Policy Committee. That was exhibit 2223.55. Everyone had a chance to read through that.
Go ahead and read it aloud if you'd like. So it's a resolution to adopt the OSBA legislative priorities and principles as recommended by the Legislative Policy Committee, whereas the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee is charged under the OSBA bylaws with developing the association's recommended legislative priorities and principles. And whereas the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee has created and has crafted the proposed OSBA legislative priorities and principles as a foundation document and guiding the legislative and advocacy work of OSBA members and staff. And whereas the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee has determined these proposed OSBA legislative priorities and principles to be in alignment with the OSBA Board of Directors' equity goals. And whereas the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee met in January and April to review the proposed OSBA legislative priorities and principles. And whereas the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee approved the proposed OSBA legislative priorities and principles at its April meeting and urged the OSBA Board of Directors to approve the proposed OSBA legislative priorities and principles and place them before the membership for approval. Therefore, be it resolved by the OSC Board of Directors that the proposed OSBA legislative priorities and principles be placed before the membership or consideration during the 2022 OSBA election season, and be it further resolved that the proposed OSBA legislative priorities and principles and a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all members of the Board of Association in accordance with the OSBA Board of Directors adopted elections calendar.
Well, discussion on the OSBA legislative priorities. Started the other end, Rusty.
Huh?
You have anything?
No.
Any input?
I read, no issues.
Here?
Which what was talked about last meeting, because I couldn't hear all, some of this,
No,
this wasn't talked about last meeting at all,
no.
okay? So this all school districts are adopting these, those BA
It,
adopted?
it's just the slate of, priorities that the OSBA is going to lobby the legislature for. They're asking the school boards to support, accept their slate of priorities. And we haven't always agreed with everything that they saw as a priority. And I think in some years we didn't support their, if we haven't rubber stamped it. Oftentimes it's geared towards a larger district instead of a smaller district. And sometimes it was, you're going to fund schools at the, it didn't talk about, funding schools as per the, what was the model,
The quality education model.
quality education model. But didn't talk about what in the state budget was going to get cut in order to fund schools. Yeah, it really didn't look at the whole picture. And we didn't necessarily think that that was the best way to do things. So,
It's always been a issue for us because we might agree with 9/10 of it, but there's no options. There's just not enough.
here's the menu. Steven?
No issues.
No, I haven't issued either. I think they have a lot of points and they are priorities because they're all priorities. And you can't have all of that. So I'd be interested in how they're prioritizing. But they don't tell us that.
Seems like in the past they were more specific. Yeah,
But I mean, it's not really, it's really any of those things at all. They don't know.
all right. I don't either. I've had, issues in the past with specific items, but not this time. So I guess we need a motion to accept the OSBA's legislative priorities and principles and support those.
So
That was about a time. Which one did you hear first, Kimberly?
I heard Steven first.
Right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Right, that was unanimous. 7.0 discussion items. 7.1 on December 5th, 2022 work session. Where Steve Kelly will be here. Do you have something further to add on that, Jim?
Just if there's any specific topics, or if you just want to leave it up to Steve as far as kind of agenda this together.
He's kind of the old pro at this, so. I thought we would probably just go with his suggestions.
Okay.
Unless you had something specifically that you wanted to work on.
I can, we'll get an idea from Steve if he has planned, this kind of time, he's got some freedom to. Working with you in the past, I want to do. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. In the past, we had, I think it was, that was Steve, we had a superintendent board agreement. About one of the meetings. That might be something you might.
Okay, so we use that as a basis.
Might not do.
I think that's one of the items he has on his agenda.
Other topics could be talking about executive session, we can go into executive session. Not an hour, I think there's exactly 90, we can go into executive session for. But if we're good with that, I'll talk to him and have the superintendent for agreements, discussion, and see what he's maybe got for my topics as far as.
Anyone else have anything that you'd like to specifically see in the training? Which you already-
I thought we were having it down for something specific. I thought we had set this up originally.
Well, it's the training between a board and the superintendent.
Oh,
That's the specific, but within that, training between the board and the superintendent, how they interact. If there was anything specific in there that, you know, you'd like to see that may or may not already be on the list. A lot of it's just a working agreement, dealing with communications and responsibilities.
Will we see that agenda? Might have to look through the agenda and I'm going.
That was, Jim asked Steve what was going to be on there, and Steve said it's too soon to work on that right now. It sounded like he was busy, and he said he would get to it closer to the meeting date, so. That's something, if we get a list from him, I can send that out to everybody, or Jim can send that out to everybody. And if you individually have something on that pops to mind, you can contact Jim or myself, and we can then see if Steve put it on the list. 7.2 wellness policy update and SHAC committee.
So at the last SHAC committee, there was conversation that came up regarding the wellness policy. I wasn't sure the last time maybe you guys looked at it as a board, so I included that. So there's a couple of action items in here around annual reports and the triannual report. And I believe that there was a triannual report, must be last April. Does that sound familiar?
It wasn't really detailed.
Okay. And so I highlighted some of those areas in there for you, and then there are other conversations that came up during the SHAC meeting was around social emotional learning and adding to the policy, and then of course conversation of that was having to be careful as far as what you add or take away from a policy. You can change the meaning of it or add something to it that might get you into a place that you unintentionally didn't want to get into. But so going and reviewing one of the model policies, I did find that you have this 8-11 on the sample model policy under number 11, integration of social, emotional, and mental health supports in the school programs. For example, promote a positive school climate where respect is encouraged and students can seek help from trusted adults. Looks like one area that has been updated in the OSBA sample. Is an area that I don't know what the background as far as the SHAC committee is, if it's a board committee, is the chairman take direction from the board, or has it even thought of like that, or as you see, it looks like they do report back to the board as far as the annual, the triannual they have in the past.
They do, and they advise the board. Yeah, at some point, there was always done that, but then there was a kind of regulation where you should have to have.
Yeah, it was because of a grant that was written The WISE grant required there be a school oversight at the district level. So that's the chat platform related.
The SHAC committee meets again this week.
It must be.
Whether that's serve on that, and if there's maybe, they're working on some goals as well, there might be an opportunity coming up at a future meeting for SHAC committee or a member to come in and take us through an annual presentation and talk about the goals or further discuss whether or not to add the social emotional component to it.
I give several months to work that out. I think last meeting, I was asked to talk about a little bit, I wasn't all prepared to, but I am tonight. So, really, very quickly, the goals we're considering is, one is the evaluation of the wellness policy, and we're working on that right now. All the members of the SHAC committee have a copy of it. Doing a Google share document. We still want to monitor and write on COVID. That's still, maybe that's really important issue still. But I just the newsletters about it and so forth. We're concerned about drinking water system, but fountains and clean fountains on school don't work apparently. So we're going to try to have a tour of the school and check out the drinking fountains. Do all that. We have an equipment box, we SHAC funded for outdoor school equipment, outdoor play equipment. We want to keep on monitoring that and maintaining it. And last one I did mention is for one plan of wellness event sometime. Big wellness event. Not sure what long that will take, but a big community gathering to celebrate that. Several years ago, we did a run, maybe run, that was pretty fun. I want to promise. So, I'm not sure we'll do that. We'll do something like that. And we have $3,000 in debt money. So forth. Funds in those things. So I can spend that. And turn back to your comments. Okay. I would say we shouldn't come. SHAC probably should have been going to accomplish some of these things. Talk about. It's definitely.
Quick question. I'll be honest, first time I read this thing, so I'm new to it. I was surprised there would ever be a time when we would market food or drinks through the school. When would we ever do that?
As far as the board, or
No, it says here that. When we market or promote, the two words, food or drink, we would market or promote only certain ones. And I was surprised we would ever promote any food or drink.
there was a point in time, and they're always kind of right on the horizon where, especially at the larger school district, could sign a contract for Coke or Pepsi, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
Or a restaurant to put up a sign and market their specific products.
So that's what they mean by marketing and promotion?
That would be the big part of it, yeah.
Okay. The other question I had, and maybe one of the principals could answer this, it sounds to me like this prohibits cupcakes in class. Am I right?
We do have cupcakes that come into class as part of birthday celebrations, not that we encourage it. We try and encourage other items to come into class, but they do come. Yes.
I think the wording of the policy is, we, I think that the AR, we encourage at least, the other thing we don't have them.
Right. And we do
No.
not allow anything that's home
I
baked.
have to say AR, I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
But that is one of the things the SHAC committee is looking at.
Okay.
There are some districts around Rusty, on which Sherry came from. And on my way out the door, thank goodness, said, you will serve carrot sticks at parties. It was very, very, very restrictive, and I was never so glad to not be that classroom teacher to put that classroom party together.
Right, well, yeah, I wouldn't either.
Most districts in the county with a balanced approach. So teaching, having balanced as far as sweets with healthy snacks. Teaching kids to not overindulge on foods.
I get all that, it just. It sure read like. You can't bring cupcakes to class.
I think it's okay to have perfect one, but trash stick.
The candle, you know.
Well, you know, who does remind me every so often when I think dessert first, this is stubborn, it's a carrot. So it's
I was gonna say, make a carrot cake,
yeah,
cupcakes, we call it good.
there you go. Beating it to that face.
Yeah, there's a lot of word in there, we're looking at the emotion, they just, a lot of maize and.
Yeah.
Very good. There's a couple of wills, so we just. And the errors aren't necessarily the same as the policies.
So the board will table anything to do with wellness policy until we receive some input, advice from the SHAC committee.
Oh, they will love that too.
Is that our conclusion here, folks? Yeah, all right.
And I think, Jim, you were saying, we're asking about whether or not this is like an actual board committee.
Yes.
Is this something that we need to have further discussion on?
This, it could be up to you guys as far as, because it is having an annual presentation, triannual pieces, so. It could be a good extension from the board. The equity advisory committee that we've been able to talk about some more tonight is next, is another example. of Committee that the board can charge with, come up with goals, come back, make a presentation to us, and update you on wellness within the district. So it's really what you want to use as far as your job.
Isn't there some, I know there is some regulation about it, but the board committee, we have to post public notice of it. Whereas the superintendent's committee, we don't, is that correct?
Possibly, that might be a great question for Steve.
And I think that we're making a board committee, then all of a sudden, I have all those regulations about it. We'd love to have more members, so. That's not gonna happen, but just the paperwork is very important.
That might be the delineation. Between the two.
It might be a superintendent, near, but I have some information from the district at least. That's that, Steve.
Right, 7.3 Equity Advisory Committee.
So what I've provided you with, from the last meeting, just for discussion purpose, is the actual Senate bill and the language. And the piece that, is specific, with the discussion is around section 4. And this gets really to the kind of the heart of the committee. So in section 4, the department may require a school district to file periodically or at the department's request its local district continuous improvement plan with the department. Notify the department of any substantial changes defined by the rule of the State Board of Education through the school district for update its local district continuous improvement plan. And there has been a substantial change defined by the rule of the board of the school district. The self-evaluation process conducted as provided by the subsection shall involve the public in the setting of local goals. School districts shall ensure that representatives from the demographic groups of their school population are invited to participate in the development of local district improvement plans to achieve their goals. As part of the setting local goals, school districts shall undertake a communications process that involves parents, students, teachers, school employees, the Educational Equity Advisory Committee, and community representatives to explain and discuss the local goals and the relationship programs under this chapter. At the request of the school district, department staff shall provide ongoing technical assistance in the development and implementation of the local district's continuous improvement plan. The local district continuous improvement plan shall include goals to implement the following: rigorous curriculum aligned with standards, high quality instructional programs, short-term and long-term professional development plans, programs and policies that achieve a safe education environment, plan for family and community engagement, staff leadership development, high quality data systems, improvement planning that is data driven, education service plans for students who have or have not exceeded all the academic content standards, responsible library program, review of demographics, student performance, staff characteristics, student access to use of education opportunities. A description of district efforts to achieve local efficiencies and efforts to make better use of resources and needs assessment shall include, which shall be conducted as a manner that is inclusive of school employees, students, and student groups identified in the ORS and parents of those students, and address the following priorities: reducing academic disparities for students from student groups identified in ORS 327.180, meeting students' mental or behavioral health needs, providing equitable access and academic courses across the school district, the public or public charter school, with specific emphasis on access by students from student groups identified in ORS. Allowing teachers and staff to have sufficient time to collaborate with other teachers and staff, review data on students' grades, absences, discipline based on school and or grade level or course, develop strategies to ensure that at-risk students stay on track to graduate, and possible partnerships with other organizations, federally recognized Indian tribes, school districts, education service districts, regional achievement collaboratives, post-secondary institutions of education with education partners, and nonprofit programs, and community-based programs that have demonstrated achievement of positive outcomes and work with students in student groups identified in the ORS. So the rest of them are lastly, looking at kind of really what the charge of the Equity Advisory Committee would do, and that we're kind of laid it out. So that was to put that in front of you tonight as far as discussion with the questions that came out of that. I come back to you with a different or even answer tonight. And then give you a couple of examples. One is for the city school districts. Was done to, I think, really quite great lengths as far as creating members and actually Equity Advisory Committee. And then Springfield Public Schools is in the middle of there right now as far as citizen information and members from the public.
It's the one we have to have done by 2025.
And how did that end up with the site plan?
It would large part probably be some board as far as how they want them to interact with site. Or if we would go to our site councils to elicit interest as far as serving on every advisory.
It does sound like one of those things that duplicates. Very good work on that.
Yeah, it is a lot of duplication. That's what we do at the elementary. I can't speak for what's going on in the secondary level.
So this committee, I'll give you an example. We'll have a little presentation, but later as far as the integrated guidance tool we're using as far as different accounts as far as the money, but also like high school success app, which is the measure 98. With the SIA, the school improvement money as well. A lot of that is developed, and the engagement is around what they're terming focal groups, which is to change in some of the language, which is what is being referenced also in the ORS as far as underserved student populations in Pleasant Hill are the number of students that we actually have of subgroups is really small. So if you look at our data, for instance, the person has here talking about some of the data where there's so few students of a particular subgroup that statistically it's difficult to get information regarding that group. So part of that is being able to put together an advisory committee like this to really go to work with the board. I think part of it, I think what the first thing you got to last time is what does the committee do? What are some examples as far as how do we even utilize them? And that's really that just that engagement piece as far as first going out and soliciting, being able to invite people to the table to talk, having a committee to be able to review data, review subgroup data, really making a determination from another set, another lens of eyes versus superintendent or your administrators as to the practices of the school district. Going forward, it could be around policy development as well.
And there was an interesting article in the Atlantic Monthly. It's not on the difference in boys and girls in the jury level. And it was, I don't think they read that, but really advocating having boys start school year later than girls. And this is a pilot project. That's, I was my grandson, but listening to you talk about that and talk about equity. It was really fascinating. You have to be, I'm not suggesting you do it personally. But I'm not suggesting you don't do this. I think it's certainly, I think that's something that committee can take a look at. In terms of maturity level. When I was reading the article, I just thought of all the high school graduations I've been to. Now there's 4 girls and 1 boy are valiant almost all this. Maybe this time there's 2 others. 5 times of girls who succeed academically. And it's arguably puzzling that that is true approximation. And that might change if we let boys have a little more time to bring them through.
Which we're thinking.
We don't think of it. But that's something that committee can look at. I mean, talk about equity. Because equitable expect kids with brains don't develop fast as others.
Some of the
I'll send out.
Second 2 or 3 years might be more appropriate.
it's for that.
So well, I guess they jump on. Especially not our 3 sons.
So the other piece is, for me, is this is, I think just hearing from the last time is the uncertainty about what the group would, or what a committee like this would do. And so bringing information to you slowly as well. And if you want me to speed up, I can speed it up. So if you're ready, then the next board meeting, I was in the packet, the Oregon City work, which is going to be at a large scale, larger population. Springfield a little bit closer to home, which is again just doing the initial solicitation for applicants for the committee. What's happening?
I would kind of like to see a list of steps, you know, where we're headed, what we have to do with this, not necessarily a timeline right away, but what direction we're headed.
Well, I think like you just said, Jim, the most important piece is, I think they provide some direction in that, in the legislation, but what are we specifically going to be charging the committee with? What are the specific goals that this bill wants to focus on? I think that's got to be one of the first steps.
able to tell the committee members what their roles are going to be prior to recruiting them.
Right,
Committee.
yep.
Okay, so I'll bring a couple of examples and then I'll start to work on just kind of direction. See if I can maybe get some help and I see where we can stay as far as the direction and then the goals piece is, I think, really kind of up to the board as far as the direction. I think there would be definitely some work to do as far as a committee being able to at some point in time, if you want to take a survey, that's what I was just thinking, yeah, of the community, of the students in the community, of the teachers in the community, kind of that climate survey. Climate surveys are always brought because we generally don't know what we want to do with the data, so we go out and get it, we see it, and then we're stuck with it. And we go out and do another climate survey, and people that we're surveying are, we've done this before, haven't doing anything with it, so at least with the plan in place, it's that somebody that's looking at it and actually taking some action on the findings within the survey.
Anything else? I think actually the advisory committee. No. 8.0 reports and information. 8.1 Pleasant Hill High School, Pleasant Hill Middle School.
Yeah, so it's been a busy month, like last month. We've created care teams in both the middle and high school. And those teams are made up of counselors, of administrators, our students support individual in the classroom. And the point of the care team is really to feed a larger team called an SST, so a student support team, to provide a space to be able to talk about students that may be struggling behaviorally, academically, emotionally, to get the larger group around the table, so teachers along with administrators, along with counselors, to figure out how we can help to support those students that are needing some additional intervention. So we've developed that, and we're starting to build out the opportunities to have those SST meetings with staff. We're going to finish up first quarter November 9th, so we should have some solid data to begin to really take a look at where we're at academically and where we may want to focus our attention on improvements in classroom instruction. We've been working with Daniel Gallo in the ESD to provide social and emotional. In mid-October, we did some work with our teachers on sources of strength. Specifically, it's a program that looks at suicide prevention and really creating a community in which we can help and support from within. So we've been introducing that slowly to the staff and getting them an idea of what that looks like. I think probably realistically, we want to do rollout, but we want to be really intentional. I rolled it out before in creating a group that is truly representational in a lot of ways. What we're doing with the integrated guidance staff to ensure that we have representatives from all different groups in the decision making and the conversation. Sources of Strength really is a program that's based on identifying what different strength areas we can utilize both as teachers, but also as students when we run into difficulties. So it's really an upstream approach. We're taking a look at we met with LCC this week. Last Thursday. To begin to look at what kind of opportunities we might have to expand out some of our college now opportunities to get some credit, additional credit for our kiddos. We've used Florida Virtual in the past, and so we're going to continue to utilize that in terms of helping our 22. We've got 22 students that are credit deficient, and as well as looking at some opportunities for the students that have individual education plans and things like that, kind of be a stopgap, and just meet those kids where they're at and provide that additional instruction. We did the PSAT on October 12th. We had 33 students participate. Middle schoolers on October 26th went to Mount Currens for a field trip. All of our 8th graders attended the Salmon Watch field trip at Woodard Creek. We're really looking at upstander and having discussion within our community about if you see something, say something. One of the holes that we're trying to fill is that reporting mechanism. I know we have issues of bullying and things like that that are happening, but they're not being reported. So trying to make sure that we're getting those reports so they can to respond appropriately. Our students of the month, Cody Jones, freshman, sophomore, Calvin Buster, junior, Ford Anderson, and of course our senior Trenton. Excuse me, those were most improved students. And our students of the month, freshman Addison Highland, sophomore Emily Cross, junior Stephen Gunn, and Chelsea, we met tonight, which you probably already know, actually. The first issue of the Bully Bulletin is out in print and online. I attached the link to my report if you're interested in taking a look. I didn't realize it's been in existence for 71 years. Pretty good run. We're doing a veteran celebration. We'll be hosting on November the 9th. At 2:15 in the main gym. I encourage you all to come out. This is for all 6 to 12 grade students. We'll have short speeches, great music from band and vocal, color guard, then an introduction of each veteran. Afterward, the students will form an applause line and we'll be feeding them pie and coffee. Outside of our willingness. Homecoming went really well, and I'm gonna have Lena and Lorena come in on the 14th to share with you some more of the specifics in terms of what that looked like. But we had a number of successful events. ASB and student council under the leadership of advisor Angela White and Lexi organized lunchtime activities for the week, 2 pep assemblies, dress up days, the return of the Billy Cup class competition, halftime float parade, and a well-attended dance. We actually had over 250 students participated in the high school homecoming dance, so that was pretty cool. In terms of athletics, we're wrapping up. Congratulations to the boys and girls soccer teams, the volleyball team, and the cross country team on being in the top 10 of the On Point Community Credit Union Academic All-State. We are starting up a Captain's Council. This Captain's Council is a student athlete leadership organization that consists of team captains from all of our high school sport teams. The Captain's Council has met twice already, and they are currently working on providing input on the development of core values and a vision statement for the athletic department. Ultimately, we hope that this group accomplishes the following: amplify student voice, provide student leadership, development opportunities, promote community within all programs, and encourage school spirit with the entire student body. So we identified that needs pretty early on, and I promise we do some big work in that. Lilies in the playoffs. High school volleyball secured number 2 overall seed in the state tournament, but lost a heartbreaker in the second round to Sayusla. That was a tough one this week. Won earlier in the season. High school boys soccer earned a 19 overall seed and lost in the first round to Valley Catholic 2-1. High school girls soccer earned a 10 overall seed and lost in the second round to Riverdale 1-0. High school girls cross country secured a third place finish at the district championships on Thursday, October 27th at SC. So that automatically qualified for the state championships. Adrian Ariano breaks the Oregon record for all-time career goals on October 17th against Central Lynn. Not only did he get to that 85 mark, but he scored 6 other goals by the time of this time. Career fair on November 22nd, we'll be holding a day-long career fair with over 25 presenters. It's going to be a great opportunity for all of our middle school and high school students to get some exposure in terms of what kind of different offerings there are in our community. In the way of career opportunities. And Lynn Community College will be at the high school November 17th to talk about several of their CT area and career path students may be interested in learning it. So just increasing access for our kiddos to see exactly what all opportunities are out there. And they can start to be more career minded moving forward.
Busy fall at the high school.
Indeed.
It's a lot to keep track of. Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any questions? Regarding?
On the career, on the
Yeah.
career fair, they have natural resources going to be there.
Yes.
You know who that is?
I would have to check with Ms. Duvall. She's working on it for those.
Yeah, because I didn't list forestry specifically, but it might be great to have a forestry. In there, and if you need somebody, I can find out something else.
Absolutely.
And I think the Captain's Council is a great idea. Very excited to be super boys particularly. So
I think that alignment across all the sports and having those conversations and coaches is really crucial.
not now, but maybe some of them in the spring or sometime, they have a school presentation. Amplify that voice to the community. And finally, I don't know if y'all, certainly not thinking of this school newspaper. Lots of great articles on new teachers. And a lot of student opinion about new rules, but I didn't know we had. Stay in the car. Huh? Anyway, it was interesting to read. Pass that along to you.
I will. These are rocks. You're sort of like our mascot.
Just curious with the college now stuff, since we're working on the LCC, got any ability for the classes that we haven't been able to offer, if there's any ability to help with paying for those credits? If they're having to go to LCC, since we're not offering it,
And
You know how many kids took advantage?
just two.
Yeah, so we had 2 kids take advantage of taking some additional, taking courses that are on. With the district.
oh, okay, the district is reimbursing.
This was,
Oh, I think we're pretty early in conversation too, in terms of college now, but I think that there's quite a few areas that we can extend the offering and get them that credit. We had quite a lengthy conversation about the things that we're doing in construction. We're already offering that. Some of these things could be aligned to get kids credit with what we're already doing. So.
this was really a time for us to meet with the LCC liaison who does the help with, she serves Pleasant Hill and a number of schools. With the change in administration, just to align what we have, what is the timeline as far as getting teachers registered so that they can actually offer a course at Pleasant Hill where students can get full credit for it. As we start to prepare, get ready for, basically the hiring season and next year's schedule.
Okay, gotcha. But so that was more for like in the future.
Future, it's what we have now. I think it was just an opportunity really to get a new administration together and start to align where are we at? What are we missing? What do we lose, as far as the last hiring cycle? What kind of things should we be looking at that are sustainable? And then really what is the process as far as timeline for either a teacher re-registering to make sure that the course is aligned, that they are accredited so that we can give the real credit, or if they're not yet. We have opportunities with some of our staff that we can get them registered and get in course aligned as we start to think about our course offerings for next year.
The care teams idea, I like that one. Be interested to, I don't know how many work, but interested to hear after it's been going on for a while, how the staff feels. And then, this upstanders initiative also seems really positive. I'm curious, just about, we recognize a student of the month every month, but curious what's being done to reinforce, the students that are doing what needs to be done, that are not just getting their work done, but they're also emulating what we would identify as ability student. Meaning of our core principles or what we identify as positive behavior at this point, or what's being done to further acknowledge that on a regular basis, to encourage it. I can only speak, from my perspective, but this is just examples, so I don't want to just necessarily make it about my kids. But numerous examples up to this point of them having to do extra stuff or having some kind of interruption in class or something along those lines because of a small group of kids. Like an example where my daughter had suddenly a 500 word assignment to do because some of the kids in class were not doing what they were supposed to do. So I'm just kind of curious if, we're also focusing on making sure that those kids don't feel like they're just taking for granted, I guess, and doing what they're supposed to be doing and getting the education that they need and especially in times where some of that's being interrupted by a small group, by a very small minority.
And we're continuing to work on developing those things out. I think the middle school, we have some words, PBIS, that's happening, not as much as at the high school level. And so we're looking at different ways in order to do that. I think the thing that slowed us down a bit is just that getting that information out and reteaching without holding their feet to the fire right away. I mean, there's certainly not capacity in terms of we're new. The expectations look a bit different, although they're still established in our student handbook. I mean, they've always been there. But it's stepping in and trying to establish that without making kids feel so they're punished as a result, as we start to pivot and we recognize this is our expectation for you. Has been a really thoughtful kind of rule for us. Because we don't want to destroy student relationships like that. So that's been a slower process than we would like, but we're certainly looking at doing that, building principles, building those out.
I mean, that's again, addressing more of some of the, like I said, that small minority of kids students who are struggling a little bit more with appropriate behavior or better decisions. And I understand not wanting to, I understand you wanting to ease into that, especially while the stuff may have been in the handbook, doesn't seem necessarily like it's being enforced consistently before. But while we don't want those students that feel punished, we also don't want the other students to feel punished. For sure. We don't want it to go the other extreme, so I was hoping that there's, some efforts also being made to recognize that, or I don't know, sort of rewards the right term. I mean, some of that is what you get out of it is the reward itself. We definitely want to instill that in those students, but they're just some kind of additional acknowledgement or something.
And there are, some plans on the horizon, so there's, some professional development that we are rolling out called Champs. District wide, and it's really K-5, and then there's a 6-12 program as well for consistency as far as the classroom practices. So that there is practices that are equitable in the case. Starting to roll development and around that. The other piece is as far as we talked about PBIS, the positive behavior supports. While you might have a handbook that says this is the way in which you should behave, and this is the consequences that we can follow with this. We really need to be teaching students in the environment as far as here's what we want to see as far as behavior concerns. And so that's the one piece that we're missing in the high schools. We don't have those lessons in the base. And so especially large administrative staff switch. I can walk into the high school and be there during lunchtime and helping. However, I don't know where students are supposed to be lining up. Students don't know necessarily where they're supposed to be lining up. And so we're working through this process of getting out those lesson plans to make sure that they know. So creating a couple of those at the same time, we've also had equitable rating practices on the horizon as well.
Anything else, Garth? All right, thanks again, Garth. Gary?
Hi. So we've been very busy at the elementary as well. I have to give a big shout out, the elementary staff guys, 100% family engagement with parent conferences. The staff looked at the barriers and said, we got to remove them. So they spent a whole week doing parent conferences. They made themselves available whenever parents were available. Before school, after school, Monday through Friday of that week. So I greatly appreciate everything that the elementary staff did to accommodate parent schedules. And what a great surprise to be out on the playground on the 28th with Jim, and he looked at me and goes, "There's a popcorn machine moving in your cafeteria." The parents surprised us with popcorn day. I asked the PTO if we could please bring back popcorn Fridays. They've agreed to do popcorn Friday once a month for the elementary kids. So it was a nice treat that day to have that. We just completed, and again, I've got to give a big shout out to a lot of people in the building for all the work that they've been doing. This was the year of the National School Lunch Program done an audit for Pleasant Hill School District. And guess what? They picked none other than the elementary school to audit. And so they spent 2 days with us in the cafeteria and at the district office, going through books and everything else. And at the conclusion of the 2 days, the auditor on site came to me and said, "So we made a little decision." And I was like, "Yes, we would like for your building to be a school that we could send other schools to see how to run a cafeteria." So it would have come together without the great teamwork of our food service program, because they started with preparation and serving of lunches to kids, plus all the EAs, plus the teachers, plus our students worked really hard. And so we were very, very proud of everyone for their efforts that day as well. I want to piggyback a little bit and let you know that, yes, we don't have care team at the elementary. We have what we call weekly data team meetings. So every 6 weeks, a grade level gets together. Our counselors are there, our counselor is there, plus our title support staff is there, and all staff working with those students at that grade level are there. And we're talking students and data. And tonight, we might just have been talking about a kindergarten class, so we're really proud of that for the growth they made. So it's fun to sit in those meetings and see what we can do to help jumpstart these kiddos too. And thank you for your support in doing that as well. I'm also happy to announce we're on the road to reading 1 million minutes. Our elementary this month, for the month of October, logged 110,000 minutes. So the kids are excited, and we did our first K2 recess today. We'll reward those who met the 300-minute challenge a month on for grades 3 through 5 on Wednesday. Plus, Jessica does a really cool thing that not a lot of people know, and I'm going to ask if you would loan us some equipment tonight as well. I haven't talked to her about this, but she graciously agreed to start doing morning announcements for me, filming it. And so by Friday of each week, or the last day of the week, the kids have produced with her assistance a video recording of morning announcements. And so one of the things that we'd like to add is we'd like to add some microphones. And I just happen to know where there's a closet of microphones that the school board used to use, but maybe don't use anymore. And I was going to ask if you would be willing to loan us 3 microphones for our set where we produce the morning announcements. I think the kids would really enjoy it. And I promise we'll bring one so that you can see what morning announcements look like. I know, it's like, do we just put the tank in our bag for forgiveness later? And I thought, no, I'll discuss tonight.
No, I think we may need to rewrite from the gym to make sure we can all hear it. It's so soft spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Give me one of these.
He's gonna be voice in there.
I know, I said you were a coach at some point, I imagine.
Okay, so just let me know. I promise I won't take without permission. This Thursday is grading day, so the elementary staff will be spending their day working on producing report or progress reports to be sent home the following Friday. And then don't forget Scholastic Book Fair is right around the corner. So if you're looking for some great books for little ones, or even possibly for yourself, check out this Scholastic Book Fair, which will be housed right behind you, November 28th through December 5th. I'd love to see you there. And anytime that you're available, that you'd like to pop in, we'd love to see you. One day.
Thanks, Deborah. Any questions for Deborah?
Have we reached 1 million minutes before?
Yes, we have. Some years we've reached it by March, and some years we've switched it out right in the last day of school. But we're excited to see what these kids can do. But we needed to re-engage them with reading. And so it was a natural way of doing it. Kids are excited. And our PTO has promised, because we have a retro VW theme that I happened to find, that they will come in the last, whenever we reach it with actual VW buses, and the kids can have their pictures taken with a real VW bus. So the kids are kind of stoked to get to do that as well.
Who decided to get them?
I think that's beyond our authority.
Did you say there was one?
Boston, I didn't want to key, sorry. They give it to me with the room.
District asset.
I was gonna say we can rent it now.
Billy Bucks, hey,
I hope they were better for you than for us.
we just wanted a prompt.
Disappeared, we never know. Well. Yeah, congratulations on the achieving 100% parent participation in the conferences. That's really something else. I think that's really important. And yeah, congratulations to your staff, or thank you to your staff for being flexible enough to meet with all those parents on their timelines and make that happen. Yeah, I think that's really important for the kids. Get their parents into school and talk to the teachers. Okay, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Next, we have 8.3 superintendent communication. Integrated guidance.
We're going to dive into integrated guidance just a little bit tonight, sections 1, 2, and 6. If you've got your gold paper open, there is a link there, so that you can actually follow along online. And you scroll down, got that, you'll see section 1, and there's 6 programs. The first document that we look into, so this integrated guidance document, it's around 6 Department of Education initiatives. So essentially what has happened, 6 initiatives are essentially this. Is the high school success, which is the Measure 98, student investment account, which is the SIRC, continuous improvement planning, career and technical education, which is the Perkins, everyday matters, and then early indicator intervention systems. All of these programs were currently are independent, and so there's about 180 pages of reporting total. And much of the reporting is really redundant. You're answering the same questions, filling out the same forms over and over, and then each of the funding sources oftentimes have very specific rules about how the money can be spent, as far as what their goals and the initiatives that they're going towards. The integrated guidance model is to put this all into not necessarily one, but much more freedom as far as being able to take the grant money and spend it in a way that you get more bang for your buck. So for instance, mental health and emotional support is an item that is seen across all of the funding sources or the initiatives in which the money comes in and spent those areas. So it's really beneficial as far as a time saving for us. So I want to take us through just the process that we're in right now. So this last spring of 2022, they're calling it Learn and Prepare. So that was the first time it came out for school districts to really kind of digest what it is that the integrated guidance model is about. This fall is around engaging and assessing. Fall, winter is going to be developing a plan. So we've had basically the month of October to get this up and running. We had a team into Lincoln College, where we met with a consortium with NASD, and we will begin actually tomorrow some engagement process with our 15 as far as getting feedback. And then we're working on focal groups, so we're shooting voice at the high school to get some engagement there as well with feedback. By January, February of 2023 is when we should start to be able to actually finalize and produce an integrated budget plan. By March of this next 2023, apply, and then April 2023 is a review by OPP, and the grant should be finalized by July of 2023. So in section 1, so this is just your integration or integrating the 6 programs. So section 1 provides high profile information as a quick reference for district and program leaders. It provides broader context for the more technical sections that follow. Includes a summary of the 12-step application process and program summary briefs. What it's going to go into first, but I really wanted to kind of point out is the 4 goal areas, and it works a little bit backwards as the document will go through this. But there are 4 main goal areas. One of them is around equity, determining equity advance. So each of the 6 programs integrated under this guidance are linked to outcomes that would end the predictable disparity in academic success and student well-being based on poverty and race. Each initiative contributes to creating richer and more meaningful learning conditions for children, young people, their families, and educators are seen as whole. Equity is advanced through actions that, and there's 5 bullet points there. The next goal from the 6 is engage the community. Communities from the larger education system that supports families and students, deepening relationships, partnerships, and engagement with communities is critical to achieve equitable outcomes and build healthy school and district systems. Community engagement is advanced by actions that, and then there are 4 different bullet points for the engaged community. We go to the next page. Third goal is around well-rounded education. So well-rounded education moves beyond the courses students take and into the essential knowledge and skills students need to be successful in life. This requires a focus on the whole student, and students' mental and behavioral health, safety, and well-being to be separated from the academic opportunity and achievement. Requires a commitment to pedagogy and practices that ensure students are known and seen in their learning and school experiences. And the fourth goal is strengthen systems and capacity. So educational systems are made up of people, practices, policies, resources, community assets, and partnerships. Joint determination is needed to strengthen the capacity for whole system success. Shared responsibility and accountability for the success of students and boarding schools requires systematic change. So those are the four goals. If you go to the next page, it should be 10, I think there's slides there. You're going to see this is the, I say, kind of look backwards as far as how it was laid out. So they gave us the four goals: well-rounded education, equity advanced, engaged community, and strengthen systems and capacity. And then it talks about the 6 programs that are in the other: high school success, student investment account, continuous improvement planning, career and technical education, everyday matters, and early indicators, and intervention systems. The piece in the middle there is the common elements. Those are those pieces that we pulled out to say these, and there's 5 of them there. These common elements are going to be found in all of the different programs. So authentic engagement processes, equity-based decision making, focus on students who have been historically marginalized by the education system, comprehensive needs assessments, and continuous improvement cycle. Go to the next page. And just to highlight, we are in these steps 1 through 4 right now. And you can imagine coming in basically the month of October, putting this together to give ourselves some good steps 1 through 4. It's been a pretty heavy lift. I think we're in a good spot with new administration. Some people are just pulling on board as far as saying, we feel like it's a good plan and a good place as far as we move forward with this. So again, tomorrow we've got our 15 coming together. We'll begin that initial work of digging a little deeper as far as pointing out some engagement and information. We're going to jump over to section 2. If you want to go back button and then go to section 2. Section 2 is the effective planning. So the snapshot, the section outlines the preparation needed, the specific process requirements, and the tasks that applicants will engage in to inform development and prepare for the integrated plan submission in March 2023. Information in this section offers explanations of planning requirements, inclusive of any needed documentation or artifacts for the final application, as well as outlines applying consortia, additional resources and tools may be included in the appendices. So the consortia piece is just touching that real quick, because you'll see it perhaps a couple of times. There's opportunities within this to actually partner as consortia with, for instance, other school districts, and especially in rural districts. You may say that amongst Crestwell, Pleasant Hill, and Lowell, we're close enough. However, if we act independently, we can't really have enough resources. But if we put our resources together, maybe we can have enough resources for that particular program. And they've got another set of requirements as far as being a consortium. So you see the consortium, that's what that is related to. On page 4, there you've got the planning requirements. So the requirements use of an equity lens. I'm going up right at that head of planning requirements, and there's a bold standard. Use of an equity lens, community engagement, the tribal consultation. The tribal consultation right now does not apply to Pleasant Hill because we're Title VI. We don't receive enough money to go through the tribal consultation. So districts that receive, I believe it's $40,000 or more within the Title VI have to go through the tribal consultation. A comprehensive needs assessment. Again, that's what we'll do again. Some of that work tomorrow. Consideration of the quality education model, which John brought up earlier, reviewing and using regional CTE consortium inputs, further examination of potential impact on local students, that planning decisions, and then development of a 4-year plan with thorough outcome strategies and activities.
And when you're going through these steps and coming up with the results, like for example, the needs assessment. You come up with, you've identified a list of needs, that's something that you could then share with us, correct?
The needs piece will help inform us as far as what the budget planning would be. Now, some of that budget planning, understand that this money has already been used and identified for staffing, for instance, the ASI money. And so we are literally going to be grabbing this information and determining, is there space to be able to make changes as far as staffing? And if so, is money that measure 98 or student money can be used for? And then what staffing and plans around the community engagement that's already been taking place, that we can use that information as well will become part of it. But there may be an opportunity for gathering some of the summary. Yeah, as far as what we go through.
Yeah, it just, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I think it would be really helpful just to see what you guys come up with as far as the needs assessment goes.
If you go to, it's going to be page 12 on the doc here in a minute. We're scrolling through that begins. Sorry about that. Page 11. So there's two bolded areas down at the bottom: requirement to examine potential impact on local students, type planning decisions, and development of a 4-year plan with clear outcome strategies and activities. So after we get our needs assessment done and we go through the budget process, and we start to align our outcomes and strategies and activities, if you go to the next page, you'll get some examples. So for instance, Gary talked about data teams. So an example, outcome data teams frequently review data that inform the school's decision-making process, including barriers to engagement and attendance. And then they've got a strategy section and an activity section. So as we begin the process of actually building out our plan, that is what it looks like as far as it's the process. So gather the information, determine the needs, and then start to build the outcomes, the strategies, and the activities to finalize the plan. If you go to the next page on 13, there's a nice little color coded putting it all together. So the outcome there says all students will be on track to graduate by the beginning of 10th grade. Strategy is 9th grade teachers will meet regularly to review student data and identify barriers and supports needed. The activity, 9th grade teachers will take part in professional development based on 9th grade on track research from the University of Chicago. So another just example, and then all together. Go back out to the main page again, and then we're going to go down to section 6. Not these other sections aren't important, but if you notice, one is the financial stewardship. Section 4 is review of integrated application, which is still coming. Section 5, applications will be reviewed, evaluated, developed, and finalized, still coming as well. So section 6 is meaningful reporting, monitoring, and evaluation processes. So in section 6, describes an integrated approach to reporting, monitoring, evaluation of impact and performance across 6 line programs. Includes attention to local optional metrics, the skilled use of early indicator of intervention systems, meeting state CTE Perkins performance targets, working with progress markers, developing and finalizing longitudinal performance growth targets, and quarterly and yearly reporting. So some of this quarterly and yearly reporting, when Suzanne was here last time, she talked about our quarterly reporting that we were doing with the CA. I want to talk just a little bit about the longitudinal performance growth targets, and these are growth targets that all districts across the state will actually be using. And then the other portion they mentioned in there was the optional local metrics. And those are metrics that we can use actually here in the district. So our elementary school might use capacity. Let's see as an example of a local metric. So if you go to page 3, you've got summary of performance measures, which includes the longitudinal performance targets, high school success eligibility requirements, state CTE performance requirements, and progress monitors, local option metrics, reported annually, auditing the CF funds only in a performance reviews. And then you see the outline of how to visualize the evaluation points together. So across the top, you've got well-rounded education, equity, advanced engagement, community, and strengthen district systems and capacity of 4 goals. The longitudinal performance growth targets would be one of the areas used to measure performance auditing, high school success eligibility requirements, which has their own specific ones. The state program targets has their own specific ones. And this is just a good visual of putting it all together as far as what targets we would use to build how well we're doing towards the goals. If you go down one more page, on page 4, there's on the right-hand side, common metrics, longitudinal performance growth targets. In your packet, also there should be the handout titled data sources, inclusion and suppression. I include this as well, because a lot of times the questions have come up around these types of longitudinal performance targets. So the first one there is the 4-year graduation. Well, it gives a detail. This has got everything to it. I'll take a look at deeper as far as what does it mean to be a 4-year graduate. The next one is the 5-year completion. Third one is 3rd grade reading. 4th one is 9th grade on track, and the 5th one is around regular attendance. So those common metrics are the things that every district in the state will be using. That's kind of the main piece, but then we've also got our optional ones that we do within the district that get us towards a 4-year graduation, get us towards students, all students reading in 3rd grade. So that is a quick snapshot highlight as far as the integrated guidance what we've got happening right now, really fast. Tomorrow, again, we're meeting with 15 in here. About morning. We'll take the 4 goals that we talked about and then dig in a little bit deeper as far as the analysis of what we may be missing, what we have. We've got some district data that we'll look through as well for that team's as we go through that work. And needs assessment, we want to step back to, and then we're also looking on getting a student voice group together to actually get students involved in the conversation.
How are you motivating them to do that?
You know what, we are in such an initial process that it was the interesting place that we're in, like we talked about this a lot of things tonight, especially if you're in high school, is such a huge changeover as far as administration. We don't have things kind of systematically put into a process or organized that we can hand it off to the person there. That knowledge goes with all those individuals. So it has been a lot of trips from district office, saying hi to Deborah, going over meeting with Garth over at the Middle High School, saying what do you have going on. For me, then not dumping all this on him at once, but then kind of saying, okay, here's the kind of next piece. And so we're in the process of working with Jamie students as well as far as organizing and getting staff. And Jamie's done a lot of work. I think we were student support advocate as far as understanding what the local groups of students are. And the plan of it is actually to reach out to her to start to make contact with those students, kind of build that trust, and probably maybe even have her on the needs assessment before we have other adults to start to step in. But just building in that trust and. Yeah. Questions, directions, as far as where this all leads to in the end.
Seems like you need some more to do. It's a lot.
This is big. There's a lot of resources that are this, yeah, definitely. Resources, but then also direction as far as where you're gonna spend those resources. And they're kind of coming these 2-year cycles as far as when we build this out, starting in 2023, thinking to 2025, and then as you get partway through into 2024, you're starting to build the next 2 years out. The next 2 years out is the grand plan. of the Department of Ed.
We've done a lot of good pieces of this already.
There is, and so it's building, I mean, when you use that analogy of building a plane while we're not only building it while we're flying it, we're sitting on the back tail, trying to get ourselves into the cockpit, I think.
You know, just to listen to all that, it feels like, seems like you're getting buried in process, trying to come to an outcome, but the outcome just keeps being pushed further and further away by the process. And, you know, it's just real concerning that, you know, what the bottom line is, we want student success. And, you know, it just sounds like an awful lot of work and complexity to try and get to that student success. Yeah. I know it's important to do the work, important to have a plan, but it just sounds onerous.
It can be, this is my 26th year, and my kind of personal feeling as far as the document that Department of Ed has put together, the alignment of the different funding sources, and they call it blending and braiding, so the ability to kind of braid those things together. Deborah's been around this as well. This feels like the closest that they've gotten in.
Yeah, they're working, they're trying to take a lot of departments, from shifting in Salem. And take the best of everyone's work and put it together. Fingers crossed, stay tuned. I mean, I hate to say that.
Yeah.
For all the time that I've been around Salem.
Is that where the integrated comes from? Is that why it's referred to as
Yes.
integrated guidance?
Yes.
Yeah, take math programs, put them together. Yeah. And I would say we've done it, we've gone through all the processes kind of individually and kind of silos enough times. So now to be able to kind of pull it all together, it really kind of feels good and kind of, and it makes sense. So I think it's what we try and do so much of the time anyway. And when it's individually, I think every district as you try and kind of bend the rules to make things fit to what makes sense, and then you get your hands slapped.
In terms of funding, you mean?
Funding and process and planning, and I use this information over here to be able to do this. Why can't I use this resource and this resource together to get a whole body to put in? Isn't that what we want? With more kids, and more adults in front of kids. That's really kind of what this is to, and the passive reading, and there's the rule, we've got to stay within the lines. So this feels as close as they've gotten.
Well, just looking at like these common metrics that they listed off here, just the school board member, it's like we were constantly wondering, how do we gauge how we're doing as a school district? And I mean, for your graduation, 3rd grade reading, I mean, 9th grade on track. That sounds like all great ways for us as a board to keep tabs on that as a school district. I mean, obviously, you don't have to stick with those, but I mean, I've been doing this for years now, and that would be really helpful for me.
Yep, those 5 will serve as a really good, I think, big picture. Recommendation is that board would probably develop those 5 as far as your targets that you really want to look at, and I think report it back to you, and then myself, Garth, and Deborah would work on our optional local metrics. The elementary has already got so many of those around reading and in place as far as assessments that they do to get our students to 3rd grade. Garth's working on a lot of the social emotional components at the high school level. So I think good feedback from you, from me, is when we're reporting this stuff out. As we're bringing this all together, there are so many different components that are already in place, knowing kind of what the needs are. It doesn't mean we don't go out and necessarily not engage with people, though. We'll still go out and engage with them at the same time. I can feel disingenuous, though, that we're building it while we're getting the assessments, but we're also in that place right now where we really don't have a choice, that we've got to handle those 2 things and simultaneously, and the work that has already been done, honoring that work, as well as getting information from the community and staff, honoring the work that's already been done around budgeting and the directions that we're already in, which is really in great alignment with all the work of the community guidance planning.
You know, John, the process, we've done a very detailed process, but sometimes having a detailed process that gets whole staff engaged in trying to identify what success is and how to get to it. That is really pointing out passion when you've done last year and year before. It does keep the professionals involved in moving forward with what they're doing. It's not processes for process sake. Process. Keep you engaged.
For many years, I've been hearing some variation of the same thing. And, it's still insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
No, it's not the same thing.
But that's just, I just to
Yeah.
essentially a layperson, I'm not dealing with anything for folks or having to deal with. And, someone who wants something the best for our students. It seems like there's an awful lot of this stuff that, let's quit spinning wheels and move something forward. And maybe if integrating this, all these various components helps, great. But I hope it's just not one more campaign that takes up an awful lot of time and doesn't benefit in the classroom.
Our the key in the communication that we've used so far is like myself, Deborah and Whitney and Garth started in initial meetings, and then 2 weeks later, we expanded that meeting out a little bit further. This last meeting that we had last Thursday, right? We included our counselors and assistant principals, and so really getting a aligned model of communication so that in the end, people can see this is where it begins in preschool. This is what it looks like in kindergarten. This is what the elementary is doing to get 3rd graders ready. This is what they're doing here to get 5th grade. Here's what the transition looks like with the middle school graphs, and you can bring it forward. Here's what the transition plan looks like. These are the strategies that are in place to make sure we have a successful transition from 6th grade, from 5th grade to 6th grade in a new building. And then that process starts over again. That student go to 8th grade, another handoff to 9th grade, and really getting the 3 levels, K-5, 6, 8, 9, 12, to work together to see where they fit within that process. And that's the communication piece, to make sure that all of this does move forward and it's actually felt and within in the classroom.
And that's what we, I'm just curriculum alignment, that's aligned, yeah, the social challenges and the challenges of jumping from one school to the next.
That is getting kids, and parents off Enterprise Road. Say, part of just one more piece of the puzzle.
And the other thing of this continuous improvement. Never been perfect, so we can hopefully make it more perfect than it was. I don't think this is the end all be all. Imagine 10 years from now, we'll have another one. Make this one look good, but even better. We want to keep our houses on, I'll have it dead. I'm sure making others that are thinking, how can we make school better? Right? Maybe we could have, literature as well as reading, So, yeah, that's how education works. It's not simple.
I thought they were thinking about building a stable for the horses, like 1800s, so, yeah,
Kitchen phone.
at the school.
Now we have no horses allowed. Not fixed. I try to go to the minutes.
I don't have faith, I have faith in our administrators, we got a good team. So I appreciate the work you're all doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that the board know how we're gonna.
So tomorrow. Okay.
Do we have any more discussion around integrated guidance? All right, 9.0 board communication. Not seeing agenda items there, any board members have anything they wish to communicate with this phone.
No, I'll send you all the items.
Then we've got other business, which there isn't any.
I was gonna, I don't know if you and I are gonna have a chance to meet with Jim before our board meeting next Monday. I was gonna see if the board wanted to, had interest in putting on the agenda for next board meeting and discussion about the superintendent position. They're planning for, because we've got Jim for this school year, currently is my understanding. And last time we talked to Steve, or one of the times we talked with Steve, typically addressing that particular issue is something that you should start no later than January. And we've got 2 board meetings left before then. And something I feel we should be discussing before then. That's just my perspective.
That brought up the next meeting. I think Jim had inquired as to whether we needed a November 14th meeting, a week from this meeting.
I wonder about that. With the count.
I had to double check it too.
So we're bringing over the high school student council presentation. We could do the second read of the board policy that we did tonight. If you wanted to add in the superintendent communication. So it'd be short, potentially short. I might have something to report back as far as Steve as well regarding the session.
Okay. I guess unless there's an objection, leave the meeting on the 14th on the calendar. So our next board meeting will be November 14th, 7 p.m. right here. Oh, that'll be the December 5th board meeting, 7 p.m. right here in the community center. And we're adjourned.
Yeah, no, we realized the high school was student session, so we really started.
I saw that.
Good. Not the first 2 months. I think it's like, it's still like-
Yeah.
I know. It's not really too.